Imagine that right now, the sun was simply turned off, like a regular light bulb in a room. No warning, no final explosion, no supernova or beautiful cosmic flash, just an instant, absolute void. But the most terrifying part of this hypothetical catastrophe is that humanity wouldn't find out about it right away. For a whole 8 minutes and 20 seconds, we would continue to live in blissful, serene ignorance. That is exactly how long it takes for sunlight to travel the colossal distance of 150 million kilometers and reach our planet. People on the day side of the Earth would still be sunbathing on beaches, rushing to work, drinking coffee on terraces, and warming themselves in the rays of a star that in reality no longer exists. These 8 minutes would be the parting gift of a fading luminary.
However, cosmic laws are absolute, and physics would work instantly, even if we can't see it yet. The very second the sun goes out, the moon will completely disappear from the night sky. Our satellite does not emit its own light. It merely reflects solar rays. Therefore, as soon as the flow of photons is interrupted, the moon will instantly dissolve into pitch darkness, leaving midnight observers in utter bewilderment. But light is not everything. The sun holds our entire system together with the colossal force of its gravity. With the disappearance of this mass, the gravitational wave, which travels at exactly the speed of light, reach Earth in those same 8 minutes and 20 seconds. At that exact moment, Earth will break away from its usual elliptical orbit and fly in an absolutely straight trajectory into open space, like a stone released from a sling. Our speed will be around 30 kilometers per second. We will turn into a rogue planet, rushing into the icy unknown. And then, when the final photons touch the surface of the Earth, the world will plunge into a deep, unnatural darkness. The first hour since the shutdown passes. A winter of unprecedented, avalanche-like panic sweeps the planet. Imagine billions of people who suddenly find themselves in the dark at the same time. Social networks instantly collapse under tons of traffic. Mobile towers are overloaded, and communication lines break due to a colossal influx of calls. People try to contact their loved ones and frantically check foreign news, but everywhere they see the same picture: a global eclipse with no end in sight. Chaos begins in the cities. Multi-kilometer traffic jams form instantly on the roads. People abandon their cars in panic and storm supermarkets, sweeping flashlights, batteries, candles, canned food, and warm clothes off the shelves. Shopping centers turn into looting zones, and the police and emergency services physically do not have time to respond to millions of calls. What happens to electricity? The world does not plunge into darkness completely, but the energy map of the planet changes dramatically. All global infrastructure operating on traditional sources, coal, gas, hydroelectric power, and nuclear reactors, continues to function normally. Photoelectric cells trigger automatically in cities, and street lighting turns on. Skyscrapers, highways, and residential buildings glow with artificial lights. However, solar energy, which in recent decades has come to provide a huge percentage of world consumption and power millions of households, instantly and completely fails. Solar panels turn into useless pieces of silicon. This deals a severe blow to power grids. To compensate for the sudden loss of gigawatts of power, dispatchers around the world begin to urgently start up backup thermal stations and introduce strict rolling blackouts. Entire districts and small towns begin to go dark one by one to save the main megacities from a total blackout. At the same time, a local apocalypse unfolds in the air. At any given moment, thousands of passenger and cargo planes are in the sky over the planet, carrying hundreds of thousands of people.
For pilots flying daytime flights, this hour turns into the most horrifying nightmare in the history of aviation. The earth beneath them instantly disappears, landmarks are erased, and the sky overhead becomes absolutely black. Normal night darkness is always illuminated by cities, the moon, or residual atmospheric light. But now, an ideal cosmic darkness sets in. At the same time, the stars in the sky begin to shine unnaturally bright, sharp, and without the usual flickering, because the atmosphere is no longer heated by the sun.
No, not the instruments!
Onboard navigation systems, radars, and GPS satellite communications continue to work fine at first. The satellites themselves are in orbit and are still operating on their internal batteries. However, panic is growing on the ground, and control towers at airports face power outages. Air traffic controllers across the globe declare a state of emergency of the highest level. All flights, without exception, receive orders for an emergency turnaround and an immediate forced landing at the nearest major hub airports. Air harbors switch to emergency power from diesel generators, lighting up landing lights on the runways. Giant queues of airplanes form in the sky, running out of fuel rapidly. Pilots are forced to land their machines under colossal psychological pressure and mounting chaos in the radio airwaves.
While humans try to cope with the technological and social collapse, nature begins to react to the planetary shift. A few hours after the disappearance of the sun, the process of a rapid temperature drop begins. Our atmosphere works like a giant blanket holding in heat. But without constant cooling from the outside, this blanket begins to cool rapidly. By the end of the first 12 hours, the average temperature across the planet drops by about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. For regions where winter reigned, this means a transition to extreme Arctic frosts. But the blow is felt strongest in tropical and equatorial zones. Where people have never seen snow, the temperature drops to unthinkable chilly values for these places. A sharp, chilling cold begins, for which neither local infrastructure nor living nature is absolutely prepared. Tree leaves become covered with frost, and warm ocean currents begin to rapidly lose calories. The animal world of the planet plunges into a state of deepest shock and complete disorientation. The biological clocks of all living creatures, which evolved for millions of years under the influence of the changing day and night, turn out to be completely broken. Diurnal birds, caught by the darkness in flight, panic and try to find at least some shelter, crashing into trees and buildings, after which they quiet down and fall asleep at an unnatural time. Nocturnal predators, owls, bats, wolves, on the contrary, go out to hunt, but behave extremely anxiously. They are frightened by the lack of moonlight and the strange behavior of other animals. Wolves begin to howl all over the world, filling the pitch darkness with eerie sounds. Domestic pets, dogs and cats, demonstrate an extreme degree of stress. They refuse food, press themselves against their owner's legs, whine pitifully, and look for protection, sensing the tectonic, global changes in the environment that science tries to explain but cannot stop. Parallel to this, the life of flora freezes on a fundamental level. Plants, from small grass to giant sequoias, completely stop the process of photosynthesis. Sunlight was their main source of energy, and with its disappearance, chloroplasts stop their work. Plants stop absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Instead, they switch to survival mode, starting to slowly consume accumulated sugars. On a global scale, this might seem like a catastrophe leading to the suffocation of all living things. However, from a scientific point of view, humans and animals have nothing to fear here. The oxygen reserves in Earth's vast atmosphere are so colossal that even if its production by all plants and algae in the world stopped completely, the accumulated volume would be enough for all living organisms to breathe for thousands of years to come. So suffocation in these 24 hours definitely does not threaten the planet. The main danger is precisely the cold.
By the 18th hour, the icy breath of space reaches the world ocean, which covers most of our planet. Water has a colossal heat capacity. It cools much slower than land, but its resources are not limitless either. The surface layers of water in the seas and oceans begin to rapidly lose heat, giving it off to the cooling atmosphere. In polar and temperate zones, the water near the coast begins to be covered with a thin, fragile crust of ice. Due to the sharp cooling of the upper layers, a large-scale process of vertical mixing of water masses is launched. Heavy, cold water from the surface rushes down, while warmer water rises from the depths. This causes colossal changes in ocean currents.
Marine ecosystems take the blow first. Huge colonies of phytoplankton, living in the upper layers of the ocean and illuminated by the sun, begin to die en masse without photosynthesis. And yet, they are the foundation of the entire ocean food chain. Small crustaceans and fish fry begin to die after the plankton. However, if you go down to a depth of several kilometers, the picture will be completely different. In the eternal darkness of the ocean floor, near hydrothermal vents known as black smokers, life continues as usual, absolutely not noticing the planetary apocalypse above. Deep-sea crabs, giant riftia worms, and unique bacteria receive energy not from the sun, but through chemosynthesis, the processing of hydrogen sulfide and heat from the depths of the Earth itself. For them, the disappearance of the star in the sky changes absolutely nothing.
Closer to the end of the day, when the clock counts the 23rd hour of cosmic darkness, the situation on the surface of the Earth becomes critical. The average temperature on the planet drops to 0 and sub-zero values. Even on the equator, in Africa and the Amazon, thermometers show unheard of frosts. Central heating systems in northern countries operate at the limit of their capabilities, burning colossal volumes of fuel. In countries with warm climates, where there is no heating in houses in principle, people warm themselves by fires built right in the middle of rooms and streets, burning furniture, books, and trash. The world froze, turning into a dark, icy ball rushing into infinite emptiness. Humanity begins to realize that if the sun does not return, then in a few weeks the surface of the planet will become absolutely uninhabitable. The oceans will freeze meters deep, and the remnants of civilization will be forced to relocate to underground bunkers and geothermal shafts. And then, exactly 24 hours after the start of the disaster, the sun turns on. It turns on just as instantly, suddenly, and silently as it went out. The first rays of light break through the darkness of space and slam into the frozen Earth. From the point of view of an outside observer, it looks like a blinding, majestic explosion of dawn that engulfed half of the globe. In an instant, the planet is again flooded with bright, saving light. People run out into the streets, crying with joy, hugging, and falling to their knees before the returned luminary. It would seem that the nightmare is over, and the world is saved. However, the return of the sun brings new, destructive problems, for which the exhausted planet turns out to be unprepared. The sharp, instant return of heat to a frozen planet provokes a colossal physical shock for the entire atmosphere. The air, which managed to cool down and compress strongly, begins to heat up like an avalanche and unevenly under the influence of harsh solar radiation. This leads to wild, unprecedented drops in atmospheric pressure. The strongest hurricanes, storms, and destructive tornadoes are born all over the globe. Huge air masses come into violent motion, sweeping away power lines in their path, ripping roofs off houses and overturning cars. Giant waves rise on the ocean coasts, caused by a sudden change in wind regimes and a temperature shock of water masses. The Earth seems to shake in convulsions, trying to digest the sudden influx of colossal energy.
Living nature experiences no less stress. Animals and birds that have just adapted to the icy darkness and fallen asleep or hidden are blinded by the sudden bright light. Their nervous system cannot withstand such sharp changes. Many species fall into a state of deep stupor or shock. Plants whose cells began to freeze face the destruction of internal structures during sudden thawing. Nevertheless, nature is incredibly resilient. Surviving trees and grasses under the influence of photons begin to slowly activate chloroplasts, restoring photosynthesis and returning to life.
Gradually, over the next few days, the climatic chaos begins to subside. The gravitational field of the sun stabilizes the Earth again, although our trajectory in space will change slightly due to a day of free flight. Civilization begins to calculate colossal losses: destroyed power grids, crashed planes, crops killed by the cold, and millions of people who received deep psychological trauma. Humanity will rebuild cities, repair roads, and launch factories. But this day will forever divide the history of our race into before and after. We will build new underground shelters, revise the entire system of global security and energy. But chief of all, we will get rid of our arrogance forever. These 24 hours of absolute darkness will become the harshest, most visual, and unforgettable lesson, reminding us of how fragile, small, and defenseless all our great technological civilization is in the face of boundless space, and how much our life depends on the warmth of just one small yellow star.